Yo, it's the Jolly and Slim Show. Here, let's go. Time to lock in, turn the volume up. We bring that heat, yeah, we keep it tough. Mindset, hustle, life on the go. You already know it's the Jolly and Slim Show.
What's up, guys? This is Jolly, and this is
I'm Slim.
Slimm. So this is episode 2. So what we're going to talk about today is kind of like how we got into Gary and got into VeeFriends and how we met. So I'll start off saying how we met was in Texas.
Yep.
When we went to the Texas meetup. That was the first time we seen each other face to face. We've been in each other's streams before.
Yep.
So that's kind of like how it started, but then now we're here. So like this is how the community works and how it's definitely something that if you're looking for a home or looking for somewhere to find you a place to grow, I would encourage you
Highly
friends.
recommend.
So how I got into VeeFriends would be I would just start with how I got involved with Gary.
Yep.
When I got a divorce separated back in 2020, I was hanging out with a friend that was like one of my best friends of 30 something years, and he introduced me to who Gary was as far as like the motivational speaker, the clips and the shorts and stuff like that, and those type of things. And I remember he had the book. I think it was Jab, 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 Right Hook. Is that what that's the actual name? And
Yep.
he was recommending that. So like, I never read the book because I didn't read books.
You didn't know how to read.
But I
No.
did. I did eventually later on actually listen to the audiobook.
Yeah.
So it's wild because the person after listening to Gary, I started you get pumped up and you get the motivation, and then he starts talking about like cutting things out of your life. And it's crazy because the person that introduced me to Gary, I ended up cutting that person out of my life because this person was I hate to use the term narcissist in these today because everybody's a narcissist apparently. But again, and everybody says, well, this guy really was, or this person was. But I was just saying this person possibly is a narcissist. I'm not going to say 100%.
Sure.
But he's just, he was going through a bad divorce. But I've known this guy my whole life, and he's always kind of been that guy that screwed people over. And I was always a friend of his. And plenty of times in my life, people would be like, why you hang out with that guy? He's a piece of crap. And I would be like, I don't know. And at some point, it was just like, I only hung out with him because I hung out with him and known him my whole life.
Right.
And it was like, well,
He
how
was
do you
like-
cut somebody?
He was like
how
a
do you cut
cousin.
somebody out of your life? We've been through a lot. There's a lot of things. And he was, I would say he was a close friend, a good friend, but he also stepped on me a few times and kind of screwed me over. And I felt like for me, I was a more ride or die for him than he was for me. I was the person that sometimes, especially in high school, that like if he couldn't hang out with the popular kids or the kids that were running around doing whatever, I was second choice all the time. But I was more loyal to him when we were friends. Like if he needed me, I was there.
Yeah.
I would think that he would be there for me, but there's times I needed him and he wasn't there. He may have showed up later and then try to like play like, oh, I'm here for you. No, I needed you like
then. Yeah, I needed you then.
Anyway, so it was crazy because like after listening to Gary and stuff like that, he actually is the person who sold my house.
Oh wow.
And right after he sold my house, like there was a lot of stuff leading up to that where he kind of screwed me over and did some things to me. And I try not to hang on those things, which I don't, because that's how it was and that's what it was. And he knows it. Because there's no way he doesn't know that he wasn't a good friend. He might not tell people, but deep down he knows.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't worry about it because and I don't talk about it to people we know because it's not for everybody to know. Me and him know. And then like he actually posted some videos of me on TikTok of when I was at my lowest in my divorce and things, and after he sold my house, I was already in the mindset because of listening to Gary to try to phase him out of my life anyway. And then when he posted those videos on TikTok about me, like I asked him to take them down, and he like turned it around on me like I was being rude to him and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, this is it. So like he finally took it down. He took it down with the fight. And from that point forward, I just stopped texting them. I blocked them from everything. And I cut them out of my life. And it's going on about, I want to say this April will be about 5 years now that I've cut them out of my life. And literally the minute, and I know people say this a lot, the second that I cut him out of my life, and I knew mentally that he was out, because there's been plenty of times leading up in our life that I was like, oh, I'm done with him. And I always was the friend that would not apologize, but I was the one that let things go. Like, because he would never apologize and admit he's wrong with anything. So he was the type that I'm just going to ride this out until they are ready to hang out with me again.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? This is it. Like, I'm too old for all this stuff, because I was like 40 at this time. And I was like, I'm not doing this. And so I kind of literally, I blocked him from everything and I moved on. And literally the second that happened, like, things got better in my life. Now it's kind of crazy that, again, Gary's the reason why he introduced me to Gary, and I cut him out of my life because of Gary. And he still kind of like posts stuff about Gary, but he doesn't follow Gary. It's like he does it for show, and he don't do all that stuff. Like, he says he talks, he's like, don't talk about it, be about it, but he ain't being about it. You know? And he's always that guy that got away with things and always just whatever. But so I moved on from him, and then I just kind of listened to Gary and started getting into Gary. And then I really, like, I've always been in sports cards and collectibles and stuff my whole life, and comic books. And then I noticed that Gary had like started the VeeFriends. Now, it wasn't the series 1, it was series 2 is when I started noticing. And I want to say I started buying stuff off eBay for myself, just because I didn't know there was a community. I thought it was just like anything else, like you bought cards for yourself and stuff. So I started buying cards, and then I started my business because of Gary in 2023. And around that time is when I started really paying more attention to the VeeFriends social media platforms. I have always, but that's when I think they started amping it up more, because the Nationals in 2023, there was a lot of things. So I watched all that, and I was like, oh man, like, this is something kind of big. And I still had cards, and I think I had already bought one Series 2 box. That's when I pulled the Epic Grateful Gar. That I had no idea was kind of, the Epic was even a bigger card. But so I started paying more attention, and I got into that, and I was like, well, I think I'm gonna start putting some effort and some into these VeeFriends, because like I've seen Gary, whatever he touches or puts his mind to and talks about or is involved in, has always, for the most part, excelled. So I was like, I don't see how this doesn't excel, because when he's about something, he's about it.
Yeah.
And so I started being more mindful about it. And then I think I want to say I bought a bunch of stuff and spent a little bit of money. And then I kind of like went back to sports cards, and then I bounced back and forth. And then right before the National last year, I was really in VeeFriends. And that's when, like, at that point, I think I was like hooked at that point. And then, so I still was not in the community. I was just buying VeeFriends and watching the social media posts. And then, I don't know, Patient Pig, Carly, that was on X. I reached out to her when I started my business, and I really reached out to her just to ask about, like, 'cause I saw her posting on Facebook and all her stuff, and like, so I just reached out and said, hey, like, you got any tips on how to like do social media content, like how to do this? And from that point forward, me and her kind of built a little relationship and a friendship, and she was like helping me. And then last summer, because she does a lot of like, she does some classes where she shows you how to, not classes, I guess you could pay her to like help you build your pages up and things, like give advice and a bunch of different pages. And I think last summer I think we talked almost once or twice a week in the morning. And she was that person that was holding me accountable about my stuff. She was like, you need to post this, and give me different ideas. So I'd post it, and then she'd call me and be like, now if you know Carly, she's from New Jersey. So she has that mindset where she's like, like, what are you doing? You need to do this. So like, I'm like, okay, like, cool. So, but I also needed that. I needed somebody to set that like fire in me, and like if I did something like to tell me like, hey, you need to do this, because like I was doing it one way. And
Yeah.
again, I'm not perfect by any means at the stuff I do,
Sure.
but she was just helping me. And then like the way I got into the community, it was like July of 2024. I was already kind of paying attention to the community, but I still didn't know that there was an actual true community of how it really is.
Yeah.
And she was big on X, and she's like, "You need to get on X." And like, she was the patient pig. And then it was just kind of like a joke, kind of at that point. Me and my son were about to go to Dollywood and on vacation, and I was like, "Hey, I might just create a Jolly Jacko account." And honestly, at that point, I didn't really have a favorite character.
Sure.
And I like Jolly Jacko. Just I'm not sure what drew me to him, but I really like the Wizard and the Gorilla, like one of my top two. But I think I was like, well, I know those are top characters, so I'm gonna kind of find a character that's really not the top. And Jolly Jacko seemed to me like, from what I saw about him, he was more of a jokingly type character, kind of playing practical jokes, is what I think, and
It's the vision
kind
you
of just
have.
more
Yeah.
yeah, more playful and more just kind of like, but serious but playful. And I kind of like, oh, that kind of seems like I can do. So I was like, I'm gonna create an X account just because. And honestly, when I created that account, I really, because I never was on X before. I was, but not like very active with my business. And I was like, I'm just going to create it. I really had no idea how I was going to create, what I was going to even do. I was
Yeah.
just, so what I did is when I went on vacation, I took a Jolly Jacko card and did like the Flat Stanley type deal, where like
Oh
I
yeah.
went different places and I'd take a picture of me holding the card. Never showed my face. And then it started catching on, and people were like, "Who's this guy?" And then I started making little videos of like, I took like the stickers and made videos of me like telling jokes about bacon to the patient pig, and then making fun of her. And then she would come back, and it was just me and her going back and forth. And then other people started popping in, was like, "What's going on here?" And then I started making more jokes. And then there's actually a couple other people who created character accounts also, that we ended up starting like a whole chat with just different character accounts. But that's kind of died down now, and not many people are stuck to it. But it was kind of, I think at one point we had 30 something characters,
Oh
but
wow.
I will say 20 something of them was Carly.
She has a
It
bunch.
was,
Yeah. Yeah.
so she was doing that, but I want to say at least 8 people maybe jumped in, and it died down. Like the hype died down. So I kind of like stuck with it, because I started noticing like I started building friendships with people, but still no one knew who I was. And then I went on to the Clocking Out podcast. He's on X, and he asked, because he interviewed Carly one time, because he was wanting to know about all these character accounts popping up. So that he did a podcast with her, and then I went on it wearing a pumpkin head, and because Miami Mike was trying to figure out who I was, and but he didn't know who. But the thing was, people were trying to find out who I was, but even if when people did, they would not
Because
have a
they
clue
didn't.
who I was.
Because you didn't have a
Yeah.
personal persona on X anyway. So even if they would have seen your face, they wouldn't have known who you were. So it didn't matter. Yeah.
No, they had no idea who I
Yeah.
was. So that's why I was like, I'm gonna roll this out a little bit. And then Miami Mike was in DMs messaging me and trying to figure out, because he was like really trying to figure it out. And then come to find out, he actually lived in my town for a while,
Oh, that's funny.
not when I lived there. And he's the one who said, you should do a podcast or do videos with a pumpkin head. I immediately went and bought a pumpkin head off Amazon.
Yeah.
And I started doing it. And then I did my interview on the Clocking Out podcast with the pumpkin head.
With a pumpkin head.
And then it just kind of grew from there. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I think I want to actually put myself out there, because I started seeing that I was like communicating with people and building kind of relationships, but no one really knew who I was.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to take the mask off. And then I made like a video of me wearing the mask, and then I like leaned over and come back up and the mask was off. And then that's kind of like how I revealed myself. And again, people were like, oh, but I don't know who this is. And then I just kind of from there just involved myself in the community, and like it was awesome, because like it was really welcoming. Even with the mask on, it was really welcoming. It was like And once I started getting with the mask off, I started building relationships with people, and then I started doing the streams on whatnot, and um, just from that point forward, it was just like kind of like where I am now is because of that, and it's just built off of that. And I've built so many friendships and relationships, and met you, and now we're doing a podcast together, and we just really known each other. We literally have only known each other for like a week and a half.
Yeah. Just
like
over a week.
Yeah. So like,
that's pretty funny.
Just and once I got in the community, like and once you start getting that mindset and around people that have the same mindset and is positive and like all working towards just bettering themselves, like it gives you the motivation to actually do that, and it builds, it just puts a fuel under you, lights a fire to keep doing it. Because like you can sit there and say it, but like the saying, I say it all the time: don't talk about it, be about it. So like when I was posting stuff, I was like, well, I can't talk about it, I gotta be about it. So that just gives me the motivation to keep doing the things. And like I told you, I have no idea what I'm really trying to do. Like I'm just,
you don't know what the end goal is, just doing it. Yeah.
One day it's gonna come together.
It'll figure itself out. Yeah.
But just the community in general, like I've built friendships, like BroFit. Like I was in the walking group. I think you were in that. Were you in the walking?
Mm-mm.
Or maybe, but I think you did walking stuff anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I think that may be why I thought that you were a part of it. They're like Blaze and Turner did like this walking group where like you posted your steps every day, and like you were on teams, and then like certain teams won points per at the end, and like they gave out prizes.
Gotcha.
Well, I jumped in kind of, I wouldn't say midway, but after it started, and I was posting videos and posting my daily walks at night and posting my steps, and like and then BroFit reached out to me when that ended, was like, hey man, I want to do some workouts with you. And that's kind of how me and BroFit, started, because we started doing workouts, and he was killing me with his workouts. And I got to get back into doing his workouts, because he's definitely somebody that can help you.
Yeah. He messaged me today about some stuff. So.
Oh yeah, he's gonna keep going until you do it. But he's very knowledgeable, and he's like, he wants to truly help you. Like, it's not easy. Yeah. So me and him did workouts for a while and built some relationships, and then it just kind of built from there. And like, you just meet so many people that support you and want to support you, and then then I'm at Texas and meeting other people, and now we're here doing this. So that's kind of like the short long form of how I became into VeeFriends, and how if it wasn't for Gary, I wouldn't be here, because it would have never transpired that way. And like I think I mentioned it before with Ben Kine, when me and him had a conversation, like the cards brought everybody together, all the collectibles and stuff, but like honestly, the community's not about the cards.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, somebody said on I think it was on the Chrome Bridge. It might have been Rob Messer, maybe. Or somebody said, when I was driving back from Texas, so you probably weren't listening because you were probably on a plane. When I was driving back from Texas, somebody said something to the effect of, like, what's really cool about this community, at least for the most part, right? If something were to happen to Gary tragically, and VeeFriends just went away, right? Like, I feel like, and he said basically, me speaking as him, he's like, I feel like the community would live on. Like, if, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's true for a lot of it. I don't know that it would be quite as big as it is, but I know a lot of the people would still be in contact with each other, and that's really cool.
People have built relationships, like true friendships. So if the collectibles went away, like they still would be seeing each other.
I think there's still would still be a thing. Yeah. So when did you say that your buddy introduced you to jab, 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 right hook? Like what time frame?
About,
was it when it came out, or was it like?
I don't know I don't know if it was about 2020.
Oh, okay. So a little while after it came out. Yeah, it had been out for a while.
Yeah, so it wasn't when it came out, because I don't think he really.
There were already a couple more books, I think, before, in between.
I think there was. Because I have all of them. I think there's one or two after that.
I feel like Crushing It would have been out already by then.
Yeah, because
something else. But
'Cause I
anyway,
ended up buying. I bought all the books at the same time.
nice.
But
So
yeah, so about 2020 ish.
yeah. So funny story. We'll go back in time since we're talking about how I got here a little bit. Um, um, when I was in maybe ish, let's see, when I was about, this was probably 2000. Actually, it was like 2009 ish, 2010 ish. Um, this guy, I was working at Sherwin Williams at the paint company, right? And this guy comes
Yeah.
in. This guy comes in, and he's trying to get me and the manager there. I was the assistant manager. He was the manager. He's trying to get us to go to this business meeting, right? And you can probably
Hmm.
see where this is going already.
Yeah.
I'll preface this with my mom and my dad did Amway when I was a kid, and my mom did Tupperware and Mary Kay and stuff like that when I was a kid. All kinds of direct sales businesses and stuff, right? So I had this familiarity with what those were, and this guy comes in, and we know the guy. He wasn't like just some random dude walks into the store. We've known him for years. He's a painter, you know. He's trying to get us to go to this business meeting thing in Panama City, and we're like, dude, we're not going to that, you know. Blah 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 blah. So probably a couple of months goes by, and my uncle, my dad's brother, calls me and he's like, "Hey, I want you to come and check out this thing." And I was like, "All right, you know, fine." So I told the Nathan, my buddy at the store, the manager, I was like, "Hey, my uncle just called me about the same thing that Colin has been trying to get us to go and do. So like, let's just go do it. You know, let's just go check it out or whatever." And he was like, "All right." So we both went and did it. We both ended up joining this company. I still get a check every once in a while from that company because they got shut down. It was a multi-level marketing direct sales company, you know, whatever. They got shut down by the FTC, and I get a $13.52 check about every 6 months or a year or whatever when they have to do another payout. So it's pretty funny. But I say that I brought that up to say that I had tried a couple other network marketing companies throughout the years, and in 2013, this girl that I had met through a friend of mine, she was dating a friend of mine, and then she had moved away and gotten married and was living in like the Daytona Beach area. She calls me like out of the blue one day, and she's like, her and her husband had been part of a company called Visalis. I don't know if you're familiar with Visalis at all. They were a huge network marketing company. They might still be, I don't know. They were like top earners in the company, making tons of money. You know what I mean? Had a huge business and all this different stuff. And she called me one day and she goes, "Hey, like, you can't say anything. Not a lot of people know this yet, but Adam and I are leaving Visalis, and we're leaving it to go to join this other company, and we want you to join it with us." And so I did, because I was like, if they're leaving this behind, because they were making, they didn't even ever have to do anything again, and they would have been fine. You know, they would have been living high. So I was like, if they're leaving this company to go just start a brand new fresh business in this other company, then I'm going to go too. And I went with them, and I did okay in that company for a little while. But she told me to read Jab, 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 Right Hook in 2013. It was like right after it came out. It was like 2013, 2014. I think it came out in 2012 or 2013. Either way. She was like, "You need to read this book." And I was like, "Okay, like, I don't know who that is," but I didn't read it. I don't know that I've actually still read it to this day. I've read Crush It. I've read Crushing It. I've read Day Trading Attention. I've read 12 and a half. I don't think I ever actually read Jab, 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 Right Hook, but I just thought it was funny that your introduction to Gary was Jab, 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 Right Hook, and my introduction to Gary was technically Jab, 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 Right Hook too. But I did start watching Gary's videos when she introduced me to the book, because I was like, I need to find out who this guy is. So I like went and looked why she recommended me this book, essentially. So I went and looked him up, and I started watching him, and I was like, okay, like, this is pretty cool. And I so I consumed Gary's content from like 2013, essentially up until today, with some hiatuses, you know, where I just don't. I'll go through spells where I just don't consume any kind of content like at all. And so when that happens, I just don't pay attention to anything. But yeah, so I was jab, 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 right hook. I was watching the content and stuff. And then 2021-ish or whatever comes around and NFTs start to become a thing, right? And I had started playing around with crypto a little bit, but not NFTs at the time. But I had been playing around with some of the smaller coins like Litecoin and things like that, because Ethereum and Bitcoin were just like already kind of outside of the range of what I wanted to put money on. Funny story, my little brother tried to spend $100 on Bitcoin when it was probably like $1, 10 cents or something. And me and a buddy of ours talked him out of it. And he didn't do it. It wouldn't have mattered, because if he would have bought 100 at $1, if it went to $10, he would have sold it. You know what I mean? So he would have kicking himself either direction. So it didn't matter. So when NFTs kind of started popping off and Gary started talking about those a little bit, I was like, this is really cool. I like the idea of this, because I kind of got it. Like, I kind of understood the idea behind them from the beginning, and that wasn't just because Gary was very spoken about that, right? He was very much like, these aren't just pictures on a screen. Like, that's not what this is. There's a back end to this, and it matters, right? And I got that. I understood it. But I was like, I can't play this game with Ethereum. It's just too expensive. So I actually started some NFT projects myself on a blockchain called Tezos, and got kind of, you know, quote unquote, I wouldn't say popular, but had some traction with them. They were really fun projects. You could buy a character, and then you could buy accessories for the character, and then you could burn them, and I would send you the character back with the accessories on it, right? So like, you would just buy a dude, and it was almost like paper dolls, right? Like almost like playing dress up with paper dolls or whatever. You would buy a dude, and then you could buy sunglasses and a hat, or a football helmet or whatever, and you would burn all the tokens, and I would send you back one with all the tokens in one piece, essentially.
I got you. I see what you're saying.
So that was pretty fun. People really liked doing that. I think there's probably a lot easier ways to do it now, because I was like actually hand drawing everything and then going in and putting the glasses on top of the thing. And you know what I mean? It all could be done. It could all be done automatically now. But point being, I played around in the NFT space through that, but still didn't really pay much attention to Gary's NFTs, apart from listening to his content and hearing what he was saying about it, not necessarily knowing, not necessarily playing in the realm of that. October-ish of 2023, he was doing a Fanatics live stream, and I saw the post on Facebook or whatever of like, come and join this stream. And so I did. I don't know if it was Facebook or Instagram or wherever it was. So I went and joined the stream, and I was like, this is cool. Like, I didn't even know this was a thing you could, and by this time Series 2 was out. I'm pretty sure it had been, I'm not sure when it came out, but it was still fairly new, I think. I should look that up before I speak on it, but I completely missed the Series 1 cards, like completely. I had no idea those even existed. And then Series 2 had come out, the cards, and that was kind of the only like collectibles at the time that were really like forefront of the community, right? So Ben Kind actually reached out to me because of that stream. He reached out to me on X, and he was like, hey, like, or he said, reach out to me on X for me to reach out to him on X, and he'd send me some cards. So I sent him a message, and he sent me 4 or 5 cards or whatever. And I was like, all right, this is cool, you know? And I kind of did that same thing when I started getting cards. I sent some to a buddy of mine, a guy I know or I had met. I think he might actually be. He's in like Maryland. I was gonna say he might actually be up your way somewhere. He's in the Maryland area, Baltimore, I think. But anyway, sent some to him. I gave some to my little brother and some to my cousin's husband and different people like that I knew like collected cards or Pokemon and stuff like that. I'd really like to go back and look and see what cards I gave them, because I could have given them something completely outrageous, not even knowing it, because I just kind of put like 20 cards together and was like, here, I probably gave away a freaking, Flexin' Fox or something, Did you freeze? Oh, you froze. Your phone died or something. I'm going to keep talking. Oh, there he is. Back. He's back. He's back.
You like glitched or something.
Oh, no, you froze. It was weird. You froze on my.
Now?
No, you're good now. Yeah, your Facebook feed froze, and but anyway, it doesn't matter. Point being, so I kind of gave some cards away to some people and stuff, and then I bought a box of cards on To the Moon. I bought a sealed box, and they opened it, and there was a epic zealous zombie. And I want to say that same box had a wizard in it. And so, because that zombie, and there might have been there wasn't a core zombie in there. I was going to say there might have been a core zombie in there too. But yeah, it had an epic zombie. I don't know what the other holo was, but it had a wizard in it too. And so the zealous zombie just like became my character because of that, I hit that one first. And then I bought, this was right before the Halloween pin sets came out too, or right around the time the Halloween pin sets. I bought a Halloween pin blind, and it had the Zealous Zombie Spooktacular pin and sticker in it. So I was like, this just makes sense, So that kind of became the character that I started collecting, and kind of started meeting people inside the community. Tom and Jay, obviously, and Chelsea, and Ben and Soggy kind of entered the realm at the same time. And so his introduction was like kind of around the same time as mine. I won on the Fanatics live stream. I won the bottom of a wine glass that Gary broke on stream. And it's like autographed and everything. And around that same time, Gary was trying to buy a something on eBay, and Soggy outbid him on it and won it. And that was like Soggy's introduction to the VeeFriends community, essentially. And that, I mean, I almost feel like that happened within like 1 or 2 days of each other. That I won the thing and Soggy beat Gary out on the eBay thing. It was very, very close. And so he and I kind of connected, and just kind of started meeting more people in the community through Twitter and streams and stuff like that. And I started streaming on Whatnot. When I started streaming on Whatnot, the only other people that streamed were Tom and Jay and Courage. There was nobody else. I didn't even know that. I didn't realize that it was that early. I just assumed that, because I came from video game streaming and stuff. So when I started streaming, it was just like a natural progression of like, if this is a thing that people are doing inside of this community, then I'm going to do it too, because I'm already doing that. I didn't realize that no one else was actually doing it. People actually told me that since I left and came back recently. They were like, yeah, when you started streaming on Whatnot, like, no, you were the third person essentially to start doing that. And I was like, I had no idea that was even true. I just assumed everyone was doing it like they are now, that market's completely flooded with people now.
But see, because I used to stream on my Tar Heel Wheel page, my sports card. I never did VeeFriends stuff. And then when I started getting into VeeFriends, I looked up VeeFriends. The only person, now To the Moon could have been on there.
Yeah.
But the only person was Courage.
Yeah.
So like I got on his shows before, and I have like one of his OG stickers.
So To the Moon did most of their stuff on Twitch. They would sell their boxes and stuff on their website and then open them on Twitch. Courage was doing Whatnot. So there was like there was multiple people streaming, but not all on Whatnot.
Whatnot.
Yeah, so Whatnot was still pretty new at the time, I guess. A buddy of mine had tried it. He does video game sales and stuff, and he had tried out Whatnot, and that's how I knew about it. And so I was like, oh, well, this will be cool. I'll try this out. So anyway, yeah, jab, 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 right hook to, doing that. I took a hiatus. I kind of mentioned in a post, a text-based post on Twitter a couple weeks ago that I kind of started feeling like I was like the VeeFriends IP and Gary almost started feeling idolatrous to me a little bit. And
what would you say? It felt
idolatrous almost felt like it was like I was putting it up on a pedestal, like I was making it an idol. Yeah. And so that's why I took a step back in about this time actually of last year, 2024. I kind of slowed down a lot on my VeeFriends. Just kind of almost removed myself completely from the community. I would pop in every once in a while, but I wasn't nearly as active as I was. And then, I guess maybe the beginning of the year, the end of last year, somewhere around there. It's been a few months ago. I came back, and I don't have that same feeling anymore. And one of the reasons, or a few of the reasons for that is, I see a lot of people that are in the community now making posts about their faith. And that really helped me to be like, okay, like maybe this is something I can do. And as long as I have the self-control to not let it get that and take over my life, then I'll be okay. Even Kowski made a post the other day about God and his faith, and I had no idea. Corso reached out to me about his faith a little bit, and I saw Chelsea making posts about hers, and so many people, and I was just like, okay, like I'm here for a reason, right? That was kind of what it turned out to be. Was I went from a place of like, I don't need to be here for this reason, to no, this community, at least in some fashions, some segment of this community is going to use the VeeFriends IP for the kingdom, essentially, right? And so that was huge for me. I feel like that's going to be true. And so I thought that was, I think that's one of the reasons I was allowed myself back in, essentially.
And it could have been that with you that you didn't see many people talking about it.
Right.
And it really just took for one person to finally say something.
Yeah.
And then it was like, and then other people may feel more comfortable.
Right.
Coming.
And I should have been the person to do that from the beginning, but I didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the story of how I kind of left and came back. I'm sure people might have thought I was in prison or something. I don't know. Who knows? But or people probably didn't even notice I was gone. I know Sagi did because he mentioned it. But yeah, that's kind of the and then when I came back, that was right around the time that they were releasing the information for the second Texas meetup, because I wanted to go to the Texas meetup last year, but that was about the time that I was kind of retracting myself, and so I didn't go. And then this year when I came back, it was basically the time they were releasing the announcement for it again, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And so I went to that, and that's where we actually meet. And it was funny that I told you this in a message or a text or something. I was like, I never even put together that even after I saw your name was Will, it never occurred to me that you were Tar Heel Will until like it took, I think it was, I saw you post one of your videos on your Tar Heel Will account, and I was like, what? Why did I not put that together? It's so obvious, And,
well, see, it's also Thought Wrong. When I got into the community, Thought Wrong was one of the first. Once I started doing the Flat Stanley thing, I would say within a week, 2 weeks of me being in the community doing the Jolly Jacko, Thought Wrong reached out to me first and was like, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Don't know who you are. I want to send you a pin." He goes, "Do you have a pin and super sticker?" I
No.
didn't have any Jolly Jacko stuff except for like I don't even know if I had the core card. So
Right.
I had nothing. I was like, "Nah, I don't have anything." He's like, "I want to send you this." So he actually the first person to send me something. So he had my address, right? Well, I again, I wasn't able to. I don't know. Maybe I didn't have uh, the Jolly Jacko account set up for Whatnot. So I would go on streams as Tar Heel Will,
Yeah.
and
And
he
I
had a
remember
show
seeing you in streams as Tar Heel Will back in the
because I
day.
used to get I was in Courage's show as Tar
Yeah.
Heel Will.
Yeah.
That's how Courage kind of knew me. So I think Thought Wrong had a show, and I bought something from him, and he had no idea. And when he went to go package something up,
He
he was
saw the
like, "Hold
address.
on." He's like, "Hold up." And then he messaged me or something. He was like, "I know who you are now."
That's funny.
And like so him and Miami Mike kind of figured it out because I think Miami Mike figured it out through the Tar Heel Will page too and things
Right.
like that because
Right.
he saw posts. But yeah, they were. But I think Thought Wrong would maybe the first person, but
That's
they
funny.
figured it out too.
I
Because
like it.
like yeah, because I would stream on my Tar Heel page, but I never. Man, I would do these breaks. I have these breaks set up. Dude, I would sit there 6 to 8 hours before I could fill a break
Fill a break. Yeah.
on sports cards, and I was like, because once you sell one spot, you in,
Right.
and I'm just sitting there. But then it was crazy because I got in the VeeFriends streams on Fanatics, but I don't think I got in when they first got on Fanatics. They were on there for a little bit
Yeah.
before, and then I got in. I started, seeing all the community members and things like that, and then VeeFriends went to Whatnot
Yeah.
and did their first Whatnot show, and then from that point forward, dude, it was like, boom, everybody
Yeah.
was on Whatnot.
Yeah. When
Like,
I'm trying to think if when I left, were they still doing Fanatics live? I feel like they were.
because I think I only watched them do Fanatics live for maybe a month,
Okay.
and then it was just like boom, it's Whatnot, and it's been Whatnot ever since. Now
Right.
they did announce they're going to go back to Fanatics because
Yeah.
I don't know if you did or not, but I ordered the PSA
Yeah. I haven't yet.
thing because they did announce that they're going back to Fanatics and doing some
Right.
shows, and when you order the package, you get a $60
Right.
like
Right.
gift
So
card
basically,
credit.
half of that money comes back to you in credit. Give or take.
Yeah, so I was like, well, that's not bad. I'll get the magazine, I'll get the chance at one of the
Right,
super stickers or
right.
whatever, plus $60 credit to put towards when they go back. So I was like,
Right.
okay, I'll probably cancel it after the first year just because
Right.
I'll to get that. But I mean, I definitely was like, okay, because I wasn't going to at first, and I was like, I might as well just do it
Yeah. I'll probably end up doing it too.
because I also feel like
Because I have until the end of the month, right?
yeah, but I also feel like I know VeeFriends likes grading with CGC, but I feel like now people may start more grading with PSA.
Yeah. There's still people that there's always going to be people that like to grade with PSA anyway. Quite a few of the cards I have that are graded from PSA. But
I like CGC better with
Me
VeeFriends, but my Grateful Gar I sent off to PSA.
Oh yeah.
My Grateful Gar is a 9 at PSA,
Right.
but I think CGC looks better with VeeFriends
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah. Something about the CGC slabs being clear instead of that like smoked almost, or whatever you want to call it. Like they're just I like them better.
All right, but you never know. You might see it phase out and it just go all PSA since they have the deal.
Could.
But especially with the Topps Chrome, like you may. I mean, I could be wrong. You may see more people putting Topps Chrome through PSA.
No, that's true. That's a good thought actually. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's a whole different card,
Yeah, and being Topps and Topps being sports cards mostly, right?
So
yeah, it could very well be the case. Yeah, that's interesting.
So
what else, man?
But yeah, that's kind of how everything transcribed and how it all ended up.
Yeah, and we both ended up in Texas, and the bees told us to do this podcast.
Yeah, so we had to follow his lead.
We had to do it. We had to do it.
We had to listen. but I think that like I remember we were sitting there, the bees just kind of mentioned it. We didn't decline it.
Right.
And then like I think later on we were sitting at a table and I kind of just like, all right, so what you want to do?
Yeah, let's
It
do
was
it. Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
it was like, I don't feel like it was ever not a thought. Like we both were just like, okay, cool, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
But then we didn't really talk about it. And then we would talk about it. And then I think, we left Texas thinking that,
Planning on
okay,
doing
we're
it
going to do
essentially.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I sent that message and was like, all right, so what do we need to do? And then at that point, the ball just started rolling.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's exactly right. And I think it's gonna be fun, man. I think especially if we can get to a point at some point where we can do it live, where people can watch and we can interact with other people while we're doing it, that